welcome to the football betting system. Here we are with the tips for the 7th of March 2020. It's a weekend again, it's a Saturday, so we have a lot of games. So we try to go by them quickly, so pause the video if you want to see the more detailed bets, but yeah, this is what we are going to do this time. We start with the AFC CAF Champions League, where we place a bet on Al Ali to beat Mamelodi Sundowns. We go for Mazembe against Rayo Casablanca, and we go for Wydad against Etoile Sahel. Then in the Algerian League 1, we go for Constantine, we go for Magra, we go for Belouizdad, we go for Saoura or a draw, and we go for Paradou. Then in the Argentinian Superliga, we go for Banfield to beat Huracan, we go for Defensa Justicia to beat Patronato, we go for Gimnasia La Plata or a draw against Boca Juniors, and we go for Atletico Tucumán or a draw against River Plate. Then in the Armenian Premier League, we go for Noah to beat Punic, and we go for Ararat Armenia to beat Chirac. Then in the Australian A-League, we go for Adelaide United to beat Western United, and we go for Sydney to beat Melbourne Victory. Then in the Brisbane Premier League, we go for a draw or St George Willawong, we go for the Gap, we go for Centenary Stormers or a draw, and we go for Caboolture. In the Australian NPL New South Wales, we go for a draw at Sutherland Sharks against Rockdale City Suns, and we go for Blacktown City. In the NPL Queensland, we go for Brisbane City, the Magpies Crusaders or a draw. We go for a draw at Gold Coast Knights against Peninsula, and we go for a win of Queensland Lions. Then in the Austrian Second League, we go for Wacker Innsbruck. We have a draw at Lustenau against Austria Wien, the second team. We go for Klagenfurt, and we go for Liefering. In the Bundesliga, we go for a draw at Wolfsburger against Rapid Vienna. We go for St. Pölten or a draw. We go for a draw at Admira and Altach. And we also go for a draw at Hartberg versus Tirol. In the Azerbaijan Premier League, we go for Gabala, and we go for Neftchi Baku. Whereas in the Bangladesh Premier League, we go for Saif Sporting Club. We go for a draw at Mohammedan versus Bashundara. We go for Abahani Limited. We go for a draw between Sheikh Russell and Muktiodia Sangsat. And in the Belgian Jupiler League, we will go for Club Brugge to beat Cercle Brugge. We go for Anderlecht to beat Waregem. We go for Saint Truiden to beat Standard Liège or a draw. We go for Ghent to beat Charleroi. A draw at Kortrijk against Antwerp. We go for Mouscron to beat Beveren. We go for Genk to beat Oostende. And we go for a draw at KV Mechelen against Eupen. Then in the Bolivian Profesional Division Profesional, we go for Always Ready. We go for Wilstermann, and we go for Blooming. In the Bosnian Herzegovina Premier League, we go for a draw at Ratnik against Zvezda, and also a draw at Sloboda against Selik. Then in the game Sarajevo Mladost, we go for a draw or a Mladost to win. In the Bulgarian Parva Liga, we go for Arda to beat Etar. We have a draw at Lokomotiv Plovdiv against Vitosha Bistrica. And we go for Beroe against Siseke or a draw. Then in the Primera B division in Chile, we go for Melipilla. We go for a draw at Magallanes against San Luis. We go for Nublense, and we go for Cobreloa. In the Primera Division, we go for a draw between La Serena and Colo Colo. We go for Antofagasta, and we go for O'Higgins. In the Colombian Primera A, we go for Once Caldas. We go for Millonarios or a draw. We go for Junior or just for Junior, yeah, to win the game. And in the Primera B, we go for Atletico or a draw. Then in the Croatian First League, we go for Zaprasic to beat Slaven Belupo, and we go for Varazdin to beat Osijek or a draw. Then we have the Cyprus First Division, where we go for Nea Salamis. We go for AL Limassol or a draw, and we go for a draw at Paralimni and Olympiacos Nicosia. Then in the Czech Republic, we go for the First Liga. There we go for Bohemians 1905. We go for Jablonec, and we go for Pilsen. Whereas in the Second Division, we will go for Dukla Prague, Chrudim, Vitkovic or a draw, and we go for a draw at Prostejov against Ustinat Labem. Then in the Danish First Division, we go for a draw. No, we don't go for a draw. We go for Viborg, and we go for Vejle. In the Ecuador Liga Pro, we go for Porto Viejo, a draw between Independiente del Valle and Universidad Católica, and we go for LDU Quito to win. Then the English Championship, where we go for Bristol City to beat Fulham, Birmingham to beat Reading, Brentford to beat Sheffield Wednesday, Middlesbrough to beat Charlton, Leeds United to beat Huddersfield, Preston to beat QPR, Stoke to beat Hull, Wigan to beat Luton, Barnsley to beat Cardiff, and West Brom to beat Swansea. And then in the League 1, we'll go for Accrington Stanley to beat Tranmere. We go for AFC Wimbledon to beat Bolton. A draw between Fleetwood and Blackpool. We go for Coventry, Lincoln, Doncaster to beat MK Dons, Peterborough to beat Portsmouth, a draw between Rockdale and Rotherham. We go for Oxford to beat Shrewsbury, Bristol Rovers to beat Southend, and a draw between Sunderland and Gillingham. Then in League 2, we'll go for Scunthorpe to beat Grimsby, Colchester to beat Carlisle, Cheltenham to beat Port Vale, a draw between Crawley and Oldham, Crewe to beat Stevenage, Leyton Orient to beat Cambridge United, Northampton to beat Mansfield, Plymouth to beat Macclesfield, Salford to beat Bradford, Swindon to beat Forest Green, Exeter to beat Walsall, and Newport to beat Morecambe. Then we continue with the National League, where we will place bets on Solihull Moors to beat Field, a draw between Aldershot and Dagenham and Redbridge, Barrow to beat Notts County, Chorley to beat Chesterfield, Yeovil to beat Dover, Halifax to beat Woking, Ebbsfleet to beat Hartlepool or a draw, Maidenhead to beat Bournemouth, Barnet to beat Stockport, a draw between Sutton and Torquay, Eastleigh to beat Wrexham, and Harrogate to beat Bromley. Then in the English Premier League, we'll go for a draw between Liverpool and Bournemouth. We bet Arsenal to beat West Ham. We go for Crystal Palace against Watford. Sheffield United against Norwich. We go for Newcastle United to beat Southampton or a draw. We go for Wolves to beat Brighton. And Tottenham to beat Burnley. So then we continue with the Estonian Maestri Liga, where we go for Kalju to beat Narva. And we go for Levadia to beat Kuressaare. We go also for Tallinna Kalev or a draw against Paide. Then in the French League 1, we go for Paris Saint-Germain to beat Strasbourg. We go for Reims to beat Brest. We go for Nantes to beat Angers. Metz to beat Nîmes. Monaco to beat Nice. Dijon to beat Toulouse. And in the League 2, we go for a draw between Ajaccio and Lorient. Then in the German Bundesliga, we go for Bayer Leverkusen to beat Eintracht Frankfurt. A draw between Wolfsburg and Leipzig. Hertha BSC to win against Werder Bremen. Freiburg to beat Union Berlin. A draw between Schalke and Hoffenheim. Borussia Dortmund to beat Borussia Mönchengladbach. Darmstadt to beat Bochum. A draw between Heidenheim and Karlsruhe. And Regensburg to beat Hamburg as well, or a draw. The last three games were actually already from the second Bundesliga. And then we go to the third Bundesliga, where we bet on a draw between Viktoria Köln and Preußen Münster. We bet on Grossaspach against Bayern or a draw. We go for Unterhaching to beat Chemnitzer. We bet on Kaiserslautern to beat Meppen. A draw between Wolfsburger Kickers and Mannheim. And we go for an away win for Munich 1860 against Jena. Then in the Greek Football League, we go for Tres Protos against Egaleo. We have a draw between Hierapetra against Trikala. And we go for Aspro Pyrgos Enosis to beat Ialissos or a draw. Then we have two home wins in the Guatemala Liga Nacional. We got Municipal to beat Malacateco, and we got Chelayu to beat Coban Imperial. Then two draws in the Honduras Liga Nacional between Real Española and Motagua, as well as UPNFM against Real de Minas. Then in the Hungarian OTP Bank Liga, we go for Mezőkövesd Zori to beat Kaposar. We go for Kisvarda to beat Debrecen or a draw. Honvéd to beat Pax. DVTK to beat Újpest. MOL Fejevar to beat Puskás Academy. And Ferencváros to beat Zalaegerszegi. Then we have the Icelandic Cup, the League Cup to be precise, and we got Stjarnan to beat Ólafsvík, Copa Vagur to beat Tora Koreiri, and we got a draw after 90 minutes for Víkingur Reykjavik against KA Akureyri. In the Indian Super League, we go for Goa to beat Chennaiyin, and in the Indonesian Super League, we go for a draw between Persela Lamongan and Pieces Semarang. Also a draw between Pusamania Borneo against Persipura Jayapura. And we go for a win for Persebaya Surabaya against Persija Jakarta. Then in the Irish First Division, we go for Cove Ramblers to beat Athlone. And we go for Bray Wanderers to beat Longford or a draw. Whereas in the Premier Division, we go for Sligo Rovers or a draw to beat Shamrock. Then in the Italian Serie B, we continue with Pordenone to beat Cittadella. We go for a draw between Frosinone against Cremonese. We bet on Crotone to beat Venezia, Perugia to beat Salernitana, Empoli to beat Trapani, and Pisa to beat Livorno. In the Kazakhstan Premier League, we go for a draw between Astana and that team. We go for Ordubasi to beat Otepets. We go for Kalmati to beat Taraz. We go for Tobol to beat Shakhtar Karagandi. And in Kenya, we go for Bandari. We go for Kenya CB, Matar United, Tusker, Ulinzi Stars, and a draw between Western Stima and Posta Rangers. We continue with Mexico, the Liga MX, Monterrey to beat Atletico San Luis, Cruz Azul to beat Club Tijuana, a draw between Pachuca and Santos Laguna, as well as Guadalajara Chivas to beat Atlas. We continue with Montenegro, the Prva Liga, Zeta to beat Budućnost or a draw, OFK Petrovac to beat Grbalje, Titograd to beat Kom Podgorica, FK Podgorica to beat Suceska or a draw. In Morocco, the Botola Pro, we have Fus Rabat to beat Far Rabat, and we got Moludia Uida to beat IR Tanger. Then in the Dutch Eredivisie, we go for Den Haag to beat AZ Alkmaar or a draw. We go for FC Emmen to beat Venlo, and we go for Vitesse to beat Twente, as well as Heerenveen to beat Ajax or a draw. Then in the Northern Irish NIFL Premiership, we go for Coleraine to beat Ballymena. We go for Linfield to beat Carrick Rangers, Crusaders to beat Institute, Dungannon to beat Warrenpoint, Glentoran to beat Cliftonville, and Larne to beat Glenavon. Then in Paraguay, the Primera División, we go for Libertad Asunción to beat Diaz, and we go for Guarani to beat Sol de America. In the Peru Liga 1, we go for draws and away wins in all matches, and those are for Carlos Stein to beat Sporting Cristal, Cesar Vallejo to beat Cusco, Edi Cantalo to beat Deportivo Municipal, and Sport Huancayo to beat Melgar. Then in Poland, we go for Tychy to beat Chobry, a draw between Jastrzębie and Radomiak Radom. We go for Legnica. We go for a draw between Zagłębie Sosnowiec and Puszka. We go for Sandecia Novi. We go for Arka Gdynia in the Ekstraklasa. A draw between Zagłębie and Lechia Gdansk. And we go for a win for Jagiellonia against Slask Wrocław. Then in the Portuguese Liga Pro, we go for Villa Franquense to beat Porto, the B team. We go for Feirense to beat Mafra, and Oliveirense to beat Estoril. Then in the Primera Division of the Primera Liga, we go for Boa Vista to beat Tondela, and Benfica to beat Setúbal, as well as Rio Ave to beat Porto or a draw. Then in the Qatar Stars League, we go for Al Duhail. And then we continue with Romania, where we bet in the Liga 1 on Viitorul Constanta, as well as Dinamo Bucharest. Then in the second league, we go for Politehnica Timișoara. we go for Calarasi, Constanta, a draw between Cluj and Metala Globus, and also a draw between Pandori and Arges. In the Russian Premier League, we go for Orenburg to beat Arsenal Tula, and we go for Dynamo Moscow to beat Tambov. In Saudi Arabia, the Saudi Professional League, we go for a draw between Aba and Al Tawun. We have Al Nasr to beat Al Faisali, and we got Al Hilal to beat Al Ettifaq. Then we continue with Scotland, quite some games there as well. Alloa and Inverness to have a draw. The same goes for Ayr United and Dundee FC, also a draw. Dundee United to beat Partick Thistle, Dunfermline to beat Queen of the South, Greenock Morton to beat Arbroath, Adrianians to beat East 5 in the League 1, Dumbarton to beat Clyde, a draw between Falkirk and Peterhead, Montrose to beat Stranraer, and Wraith to beat Forfar Athletic. Then in the League 2, we go for Annan to beat Cowdenbeath, Brechin to beat Cove Rangers or a draw, Edinburgh City to beat Albion Rovers, Elgin City to beat Stirling, and Stenhousemuir to lose against Queen's Park. Then in the Premiership, we go for Aberdeen to beat Hibernian, St Mirren to beat Celtic or a draw, Hamilton to beat Kilmarnock, Motherwell to beat Hearts, and St Johnstone to beat Livingston. Then we have the Serbian Superliga, where we go for Javor or a draw against Ratnik. We go for Baka Topola, a draw between Napredak and Proletar, another draw between Machva and Crvena Zvezda, a win or a draw for Mladost against Vojvodina, and a win or a draw for Ratniki Nis against Partizan. Then we continue with the Slovakian Fortuna Liga, where we go for Žilina to beat Seret, Slovan Bratislava to beat Rožomberok, Senica and Nitra with a draw, Trenčín to beat Moravce, Streda to beat Trnava, and Michalovce to beat Poroni. In Slovenia, we got Domžale to beat Alumini and Maribor to beat Bravo. Then in South Africa, the Premier Soccer League, we go for Baroka against Black Leopards. We go for Golden Arrows against the Orlando Pirates. A draw or an Amazulu win against the Kaizer Chiefs. Bidvest Wits to beat Chippa United. And in Spain, the La Liga, we go for Mallorca to beat Eibar or a draw. We go for Sevilla to beat Atletico Madrid or a draw. We go for a draw between Barcelona and Real Sociedad. And we go for Getafe against Celta de Vigo. Then in the Segunda Division, we go for Extremadura to beat Oviedo, Girona to beat Albacete, Fuenlabrada to beat Huesca or a draw, Numancia to beat Santander, and Almeria to beat Deportivo La Coruña. Then we got some matches in Sweden. We're almost getting to the end now. Cup games in Sweden: Västerås to beat Sollentuna, Göteborg to beat Sirius, Dalkurd to beat St. Vikens, Djurgårdens to beat Mjällby, Halmstad to beat Svakers, and Norrköping to beat Falkenbergs. Then in Thailand, we go for the Thai League 1, a draw between Ratchaburi and Bangkok United, a win for Chiang Rai United, a win for Suphanburi, a draw between Sukhothai and Muangthong United. We go for Chiang Mai FC and for Frey FC in the second league, by the way. a draw between Chinout and Sisaket, another draw between Konkane United and Thai Navy, and also a draw between Chiang Mai United and Nuang Bua PTI. Then in the Turkish League 1, we go for Keçiörengucu. We go for Hatayspor, we go for Karagümrük, and we go for Giresunspor as well as Bursaspor. In the Super League, we go for Yeni Malatyaspor, we go for Trabzonspor, we go for Göztepe, as well as for Fenerbahce. Then the Ukrainian Premier League, where we go for a draw between Vorskla Poltava and Olympic Donetsk. We go for a draw between Desna and Zorya Luhansk. And we have Alexandria to beat Dynamo Kiev, or a draw. Then in the Major League Soccer in the United States, we got New England Revolution to beat Chicago Fire. A draw between Real Salt Lake against New York Red Bulls. FC Dallas to beat Montreal Impact. DC United to beat Inter Miami. No, sorry, that should be a draw. Toronto to beat New York City. Atlanta United to lose against Cincinnati, or a draw. San Jose Earthquakes to beat Minnesota United. Houston Dynamo to beat Sporting Kansas City, or a draw. Orlando City to beat Colorado Rapids, or a draw. Los Angeles Galaxy to beat Vancouver Whitecaps, and Columbus Crew to beat Seattle Sounders, or a draw. Then we continue with the USL Championship, where we got Louisville City against North Carolina to beat them. We got a draw between New York City Red Bulls, number 2, the second team, and Tampa Bay. We got Indy 11 to beat Memphis, a draw between Philadelphia Union, the second team, and Loudoun. We got Oklahoma City Energy to beat Colorado Springs, St. Louis FC to beat Miami FC, a draw between Austin, Bolt, and New Mexico, Real Monarchs to beat San Antonio, where were we? Phoenix Rising to beat Portland, the second team. Las Vegas Lights to beat San Diego Loyal, or a draw. Sacramento to beat Tulsa, and that's it for the American League. And then we finish with the remainder of what we see here. So we start with Uruguay, Rentistas against Maldonado to beat them, Plaza Colonia to beat Phoenix, and Montevideo City to beat Cerro. We also have Danubio to beat Penarol, or a draw. La Guera against Yaracuyanos, we go for La Guera. We go for Carmarthen to beat Airbus. And then the women's international matches, we go for Sweden to beat Denmark, Belgium to beat Portugal, Norway to beat Germany, or a draw. New Zealand to lose against Italy, a draw between Scotland and Iceland, Ukraine to beat Northern Ireland, a draw between Canada and the Netherlands, and France to beat Brazil. So that was a long list. I hope you enjoyed it at least. I thank you again for your time. Wishing a very nice day, and please like and subscribe, and get back to us for more. Thank you, and bye bye.